Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I'm your host, Lauren, and in today's episode, I have Candace. She is a professional vocalist and music teacher. Welcome, Candace. I am so happy to have you here with us today.
Yay. I'm happy to be here.
So, how has your spiritual journey influenced your career in the music industry?
Oh, that's such a great question. Well, my spiritual journey has definitely been along the lines of um, self-confidence um, and believing in myself. Working in the entertainment industry is very hard because you're constantly judged on how you look and how you sing and how you dress, and so all these different things. And so your confidence can be uh put in other people's hands. Like you see yourself based on what somebody else says about you, and that becomes your reality. And so for me, through my journey and just through life and everything, I've started to realize, but hold on, I'm still fabulous regardless of what anybody says about me. I'm still amazing. I'm still and so that just kind of shifted my I guess, way of thinking. And so I started just performing out of the joy of it, regardless of who likes it or doesn't like it. At the end of the day, I do my best. I know I'm wonderful. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, that's okay.
I love that. I was gonna say I love that, especially when it comes to confidence with women, like in general. Like you said, the music industry or any industry. I know that, in pop culture and all that stuff, and like the music industry, you're constantly being judged from, obviously it's their judgment is from that it's a them problem, not a you problem. But I feel like, somebody listening to this that wants to start a music career or wants to, just sing just to sing or whatever, they're probably not going to do that because of that level of like, I don't want to be judged. So I
Hmm.
love that you have overcame that, because I feel like that is a huge challenge that I feel like just women in general, even if they're not in the music industry, like that is a huge challenge. So what if that was, like if there is somebody, a listener listening to this, and that would be like, if they want to be a singer or inspiring to be, what would you say to them? Like how to help them like overcome this? Like, what are some of the things that you did?
I think the biggest thing that really helped me was to stop comparing myself. A lot of times I would look at the person next to me and be like, well, I'm not like her. She's done this, she's done that, and I haven't done that. And then it was like when you stopped comparing and realized that I'm different, I'm unique, enjoying that uniqueness. Like I used to think that I had to sound like Whitney Houston because I thought she I thought she was the pinnacle of good singing because she's amazing, right?
Right.
But I don't sound like her. And it was very heartbreaking. And I would try and I would work and I would try. And that's just not my gift. And so it became of, hold on, but I still sound good in my own way. Like my voice is different. So when I stop comparing myself and appreciating what makes me special and what makes me unique, and it's not an arrogance thing. It's just appreciating and understanding the value that I have. Um,
Right. No, I definitely understand that, because I feel like, and I love that you said that too, because I feel like women in general, I it comes down to, you can look at a woman that's very confident. Like people say to me all the time, you seem very confident. I'm
mm,
like, okay, but can
mhm,
I tell you my perspective on it? Like my confidence, could be taken as like cockiness, but it's not, because I come from a place of being humble. And I'm sure
mm,
the same thing goes for you. Like if I watched you on, like singing, I probably would say to myself, man, I wish I was like her. I wish I
mm,
could sing like that. But it's like, I could if I practiced it, if I worked with you, or like, if I did
mhm,
this all the time. So I feel like I always tell people, I'm really good at that too. Like, if people want a podcast, well, how did you start your podcast? I'm not going to
mhm,
gatekeep stuff. I'm going to just tell
mhm,
them how I did it, and then they can try it. Same thing with like, being a teacher. Like I've always wanted to be some type of teacher. Obviously I teach in a different way than, the typical teacher does. But, there's a level of, I want people to be able to learn from me, but I want them to be able to do it for themselves versus having them feel like they can't do what they want to do. It's like, you
Mm,
can, let me just show you, and then you can do whatever you want to do with it, right? And
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
assuming, I just have that feeling that you do the same thing when you're teaching music or when you're, teaching.
Yeah. No, and so like this message was such a powerful thing for me when I figured this out and started learning it and just realizing the power of self-confidence and daily affirmations, because it's not like I woke up one day and I was confident. Like I have to work on it. It's a
Right,
daily it's a daily ritual. It's a daily exercise to remind yourself who you are, what you stand for, your value, all that stuff. So funny thing, when I had a birthday a year ago, and I decided for that birthday to write a song to myself about myself,
oh,
encouraging myself. And it's available on iTunes and Spotify. Anyway,
oh good. I was gonna say, I'll make sure all those links are in the description box so people can
yes,
go into that.
but the song is called Still Cute. And the words, the main chorus is, I don't look like what I've been through. I feel better than I'm supposed to. I'm smiling because my heart is true. Um, all the negatives on mute because I'm still cute. And just celebrating these things is what I say to myself every morning. Like, I'm still cute. I'm still, I'm getting older, but that's okay. I'm still cute. I'm still enjoying life. You can't look at me and tell all the trials and all the hardships that I've been through. I'll
Right,
tell you about it if you want to know, but
right. Yeah,
my you can't see it. All you see is the joy of life, and that's what I want to keep sharing with other people. So I wrote this song to myself, and people were like, "You're really writing a song to yourself about yourself?"
yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah. What I feel like now, I think if you think about like all these big artists and all that, that's what they do. Like,
Mhm,
they're writing songs about their life experiences. I feel like
mhm.
that's what a lot of people do. Is I think everybody does that. Taylor Swift does
Yeah.
that. Like, all of the big people, all the country singers, all of their songs are about a period of their life or what they've been through or what they're going through. That's what
Mhm.
artists do. I feel like
Yeah.
that is a normal thing. Why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't? Right.
Yeah,
And it's not. It was a thing of, I don't care what anybody wants to hear. I want to create what I want to
right.
create. So
Yeah,
it's not something, because literally at the end of the song, my favorite part is I go, Happy birthday to me.
yeah.
And
And
it's
then
like,
you can listen to that like when you need to listen to that. Like, I
yeah.
think, and I'm sure there's, people out there that are gonna be like, they could probably resonate it like that you're talking to them. And that's all that matters,
Hmm.
like it.
Hmm.
I feel like as long as whoever resonates with it, I mean, there's the section of the world that will have their opinions, but that's
Right.
all.
Right.
That section of the world is always going to be there. They have to
Oh,
be
yeah.
there. That's like the duality of stuff, like the
Hmm.
black and white, the dark and the light. Like, that's
Hmm.
what makes the world go around. I always say
Hmm.
that because people are like, well, can't we just have world peace? And I'm like, then we wouldn't have a world with no peace and no chaos. It's like, that would be a boring life. I mean, we don't really need all the chaos that's happening right now, but like, there needs to be some type of balance coming back in, because I feel like that is what makes like a human experience enjoyable.
Mm,
Like, right?
right. I
Yeah.
never thought about it like that, like the
Yeah.
duality of, there's always going to be positive, always going to be haters.
Right.
Always.
That's the positive and the negative. It's just like how, like, and I always say, when I was going first early on in my healing journey, I said I would always say I just want to be happy all the time. And it's just like, how would I know what happy is if I didn't know what pain felt like? Or how did
Mhm.
I know what or sadness felt like? Like, you need to experience both. Obviously, it needs to be balanced, and that comes with experiences that,
Mhm.
people always, when I would share my story or talk about my story or talk about my experiences, people are like, how are you still alive? And I was like, well,
Mhm.
apparently this is what I signed up here to come to earth, and this is what I decided to go through so I could grow through it, versus, looking at it from like that victim mentality versus like, how can I overcome this? And that's like one
Mhm.
of my, I always say, one of my biggest, when I'm going through something, the emotional resilience that I have is like my superpower
Mhm.
to get through anything.
Mhm.
Because if people want to know about my trauma, I'll tell them because I have an experience of that trauma, and I also know how to help people get out of it if they experience different stuff. So, same thing with you with
Yeah.
songs, right? Like you obviously don't look like you've been through like hell and back, right? But it's like you probably have at some point in your
Mhm.
life. It's just not right now. So it's like
Mhm.
I always felt like when people are like, well, why didn't you talk about your experience or why don't you tell people? And it's like, because I don't feel like I need to unless they need me to, like
Mhm.
it's not something that I just drag around with me, like it's
Mhm.
a burden. Like it would be if I held on to all of that stuff and didn't release it, it would be like me literally dragging around all my stuff,
Mhm.
you
Right.
know?
No, that's true. I heard somebody make a comment about that. They were saying something like, "You're not just your accomplishments, you're also what you survived."
Right. Yeah. And all of us, if you're still living here in 2024, have survived something.
Mhm.
Like, if even if it's small, even if it's like, a heartbreak, a boyfriend, losing somebody, people always say, oh, like there's some people out there that they make it look like life is easy. Well, maybe this lifetime is easy. That maybe maybe that's what they are supposed to be here for. Like
Mhm.
everybody has a purpose. And it's like you just need to figure out your purpose. And if you can't figure out your purpose, go to get some help on how to figure out your purpose. Like
Mhm.
don't worry about everybody else. And I always tell people if every individual person focuses on themselves instead of everything else going on, like that is how the entire world can change, right?
Yeah.
Instead of
No, it
focusing
really
on what that person's doing or that person's doing or why did they have this and I don't have this. It's like, why don't you just focus on yourself? Why,
yeah,
girlfriend, just focus on yourself. Like that's what I say. I'm like, just don't worry about that. Worry about yourself.
focus on yourself.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I read the comment sections on social media and you
Yes.
see all
Yes.
these comments and you're just like, "How does this affect your life?" Like, why?
Right.
So you have so many opinions, so many thoughts. I'm happy for you, but you can share them,
Yeah.
but you seem to be getting very upset about something that has nothing to do with you. So
Yes. I I literally just today was on social media and somebody posted something and she was being sarcastic and she was being funny or whatever. And then I immediately was like, I have to go to her comment section because I know for a fact there's going to be people in her comment section that are going to have something to say. And it's just like, and most of the time, I don't, thank God I don't have this on my social media. Sometimes I do in my comment section. I don't usually have a lot of haters in my comment section. I'm really quick to block people. I'm like, I don't really care about your negative energy. Like, I'll just
mhm,
block them. But
good for
sometimes
you.
on YouTube or, it'll like the opinion. But for me, I'm like, I love people's perspective because I want to see
Mhm,
how broad, like how close minded you are because your negative comment is just how much you might not be on your journey of like healing, right? Like, so it's like
mhm,
you can kind of see people's perspective in their awareness, I should say. And that's not their fault. They just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So it's like,
mhm.
it's funny to me because I'm like, that's interesting. You're very interesting. Your perspective that I never asked for is very interesting. Right?
That's a nice way of thinking about it. Your
Right.
perspective is very interesting.
Yeah. Because I feel like if not, I'm going to get angry. Like, and I'm going to
Mhm,
try to be out of character. And I'm like, I already know myself. And it's like, I'm in control of my anger. I'm in control of what I say. Now, the rest of
mhm,
the world, I don't think society has that belief, but I know I have that belief about myself. So it's like,
mhm,
that's just like, you're not going to get me angry today. I may be a little bit
mhm.
sassy, but you're not getting me angry
Yeah,
today. Right.
yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Mhm,
like that level of self awareness that you have. And I feel like society, they don't teach you that for one. So it's like they
yeah,
don't, uh, most people just aren't aware. But yeah, there's always going to be that one person and you usually can turn it like Gary Vee. I don't know if you know Gary Vee, but how he talks about like being more kind. And it's just like if I can just be the most negative people on this planet or the most miserable people on this planet need the most love. And it's like I will give you a sense of like you just need to have the day you deserve. Like you know how when you say, "Oh,
mhm,
have a good day," it's like no, no, no,
mhm.
have the day you deserve because you might not necessarily need to have a good day. You need maybe to have a bad
Ooh,
day, right? But
ooh.
that's kind because I'm not putting on like you just have the day that you deserve or whatever, I'll just be kind when you're negative, or I'll just
Hmm.
be, I'll give you more love. And I noticed that when you start to like kind of look at it from that perspective, on if you just give out more love. Now, I'm not talking about people that are just plain out rude, like
Hmm.
whatever, you can just get ignored. But the people that you could tell that are struggling, or maybe they're just not aware of the negativity that they're putting out, if you're just kind to them, that might be that one little thing that they needed to maybe be a kinder human, because people just need to be
Hmm.
kind. I feel like people just need more kindness, more love in
Hmm.
this world, and I think it'll just be a better place. It's just what
Hmm.
my
Yeah.
belief is.
No, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. A little,
Yeah.
Mm.
So, my next question that I was just thinking of is, what advice would you give maybe another woman that is looking to empower themselves in, I should just say, a very male dominant industry?
Mm. I think just love yourself. If you start there, everything else kind of trickles down.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah, if you just start with that, just love
Loving yourself.
yourself, and then everything else just trickles down because it is a male dominated industry, and a lot of the men have the power, but it's just like when you love yourself, then it's like, hey, I can't allow you to talk to me any kind of way. I can't allow anybody to be disrespectful. I can't allow, it's because I love myself, and I'm not going to allow these things in me because I know my value. And
Yes.
um so yeah, so just so when you start with loving yourself, just and that sounds so easy, but it does take time.
Yeah.
But just celebrate, and my favorite thing is let's just always just celebrate yourself and strengthen your strength. Whatever you are good at, get better at it. So let's say you are a good, I don't know, good at taking pictures. Take more pictures. Figure out how to be the best version of a photographer but you can be. And for me it's singing. So I still practice every day. I still take voice lessons. I teach, but I also study because a student is always, I mean, teachers are always students. So I'm
Right.
still a student. I'm still learning. I'm trying to get better, grow. There is no end to learning. And that's back to loving myself.
Yeah. I love that you said that, I was going to say the best teachers are people that constantly want to learn. So, like the best student.
Mhm.
Like, I
Mhm.
always feel like I'm always like that too. Like, I want to know everything, actually.
Mhm.
Sometimes it will, like, I can't teach that yet, or I can't help somebody with that because I need to learn more. But sometimes it's like, why can't I just teach them what I'm learning right now?
Right.
Like, versus that's the same thing with a content creation. That's why it's so important, like for entrepreneurs, or just in general, like when I ask somebody, I when I'm hiring like a mentor or something, I want to know if they have a mentor, because I feel like that's very important, because that if
Hmm.
they don't have a mentor, well, how are they learning? Are they I don't feel like you need a mentor all the time, right? Like you can
Mhm.
have periods of your life that you don't have a mentor, but I feel like you have somebody that's helping you along,
Yeah.
because if
Mhm.
not, I just feel like you would be stuck, right? Like you are not learning anything new. So there's always like, I always say to people, like, same thing with self love or loving yourself or all the things that you know. People only know how, like, if they're giving back that love to other people, or you only know the amount of awareness that you've came in. Same thing with like, love. If, when people are talking about relationships or whatever it is, or healing, you only can be the best you've only accomplished yourself. So it's like you need somebody that has done more to teach you,
Mm.
right? So you
Yeah.
can get to that next level, right? And then
Yeah.
it's just same thing. And then you teach other people. Like it's like kind of like it's like not like a plateau. It's like leadership is all about how many people can you bring up with you versus how not being more at the top. I know that the society is more of like I'm up here and everybody else has to do what I do. I know that that is the dynamic, in corporate America or wherever. But I feel like the dynamic is shifting of like leadership should be the leader leading other people, but they also have a leader that's leading them, that kind of thing. I feel like that.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Do you have a mentor? And I think it's also good to take stock of who you spend time with. I
Mhm.
think that's really because that can make or break you.
Oh
Your tribe or your group, whoever your friend group, like even family, are
yeah. Oh yeah.
they helping to build you up or are they tearing you down?
Yeah.
Are you embarrassed to share um an achievement with your friends? That's a big red flag.
Oh yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like so anyway, so it's just it's very good to be around, like definitely help the people who are coming up, but also be around people who will help you grow too. So it's like a duality, which you just said before.
Yeah. No, like wholeheartedly agree. I was going to say, if I look back at probably when I went through my first spiritual awakening, because I was always very conscious my whole life, but it's just like different trauma, like suppressed different stuff. But I feel like I, through my own journey, I feel like your statement on be careful, like who you're around, or is your friend group family too? I always felt like my belief was family is everything until
Mm,
I realized that is not true because my family wouldn't make me feel like crap. My family would love me. Now I'm not talking about my parents. No, my there's very select few people that are still family that are actually not blood related. Like I consider them to be more family than my actual blood related family
mm,
because it's just different, generational stuff and, ancestral stuff that it's just like I can see that it was just like like I said, the level of their healing, the level of their awareness, they just don't know any better. So it's
mm,
like, I would always just have this level of expectation on like, my cousins or my aunts and uncles. And for the most part, my aunts and uncles that support me. The other ones are judging me of like, why does she not work at a job? Why is she talking? Why does she have a podcast? Why is she calling herself a healer? All this stuff. And it's just like, because that's what I want to do. Like,
mm.
why do you care? Like, right, like my question to people is, why does it affect you?
Mm,
You
mm,
know, like that was a thing because during like just different types of part of my healing, being an entrepreneur, I'm not from an entrepreneurial family. They don't understand how to have a business. They
mm,
don't understand how to work for yourself. They all worked for other people. So
mhm,
even like to my parents, they're like, well, you're going to go, you went to college, was in medical field. I, have a degree. And it's like, you're not going to use that anymore. It was very hard for them to realize that, no,
mhm.
I want to do this with my life. This is what I want to do. This is
Yeah.
what I feel called to do. This is what makes me happy. Is entrepreneurship hard? Yes, of course. It's
Mm,
like it's just like an accelerated mindset, constant, like
mhm,
constantly doing like healing or mindset work or whatever you want to call it. I'm like, of course, yeah. Like,
mhm.
yes,
It's
it's
hard.
hard. It's not easy, but
Mm-mm,
any business person is going to tell you building a business or having a business is not easy either.
mhm,
It's like if I want to go back and work for somebody else's dream and go back to work for the hospital and have somebody tell me how to live my life, sure, I can also do that too, but I don't want to do that. I did that for a very long time. And it's like it
mhm,
didn't make me happy. And I just felt like for me, I was in healthcare. So I felt like, I was miserable and these people don't deserve my miserable attitude. They don't deserve my miserable like energy. I got to figure out
mm,
what I want to do for myself. And then I figure that out and I'm happier, and I feel
mhm,
like a lot of nurses too get out of the field because it's just like, this isn't really how it should work. Like
mm,
you have this deep, same thing with teaching. Like I feel like
mhm,
teachers, they have that, they do this because it's a calling for them. They don't do it because of the pay. They do it
mm,
because this is what they want to do. Same
mhm,
thing with like me being in the medical field. I did not get paid for what I had to do, what I had to
mm,
deal with. Like the person owning the business and that hospital and administration, they got paid more than I did. And we're the ones that are like doing the actual work. And I'm like, this is a pyramid scheme, not anything else. This is a pyramid scheme,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
You know, it was
mhm,
like the people that, you know, deserve to get paid, you know, that money, they don't get paid. I'm like, this is not right. This is,
mhm.
this is, I think this, there's something wrong with this dynamic, but that's just how the world works. So it's like,
Mm,
I got to figure out a different way.
right.
Right?
No, you're
Yeah.
100% correct. And it's very scary. I'm realizing because I mean, I was very similar to you. I was a classroom teacher in a school for 10 years. So
Yeah.
teaching music in a school, and I quit to become a professional singer. And I had the same pushback as you had. People like, why would you want to quit teaching and give up your 401k to go travel the world singing? I mean, who does that? You'll have no stability, blah, 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 blah. And I realized I think people fear what they don't know.
Yeah.
So, like you said, that your family, they weren't entrepreneurs. And so when you became an entrepreneur, it was like, oh, what is she doing? But they just don't know anything. They just don't know.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. And then that's pretty much what it comes down to too, because there's people and clients and friends that have came from an entrepreneur background and not once did their parents question their path of entrepreneurship because that's what they grew up in. Same thing with like
mm,
business. If you have parents that are businessmen or, you know, that have businesses, if you have a business, they're not going to question why you have a business, you know, if it's
mm,
a brick or mortar business or if it's whatever. And it's like, so it's like, I feel like if my parents or my family had a business, even if
mm,
it's an online business, it's still a business. Like I still, it's just, you know, I have tangible products. I don't have tangible products. I have services, you know, it's like whatever it is, it's still like a business. And,
mm,
you know, same thing with, you know, the podcast or, you know, just different other things that is just like, you know, I think it just, like you said, it came down to you don't know what you don't know. And they've watched my success over the last 4.5 years. And
mm,
would they say that today? No, they wouldn't
mm,
because they don't have anything to say because they're like, well, you published a book, you did this, you did that, you made this, you made that. I'm like, yeah, because you got, and if I listened to my family, I wouldn't be
mm.
here. You know what I mean? Or I wouldn't have
Yeah,
helped all the people I've helped. Or, you know, maybe I wouldn't have what I have now. So it's like sometimes you have to just do what you feel.
have to do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually had a friend come back and apologize to me because when I quit teaching, she gave me a whole, speech about da
Yeah.
da 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 da. You're never gonna be stable, and you're never gonna have da 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 da. And years later, she called me and she said, "You know what? I'm so sorry that I didn't believing you," and that she was like, it was my fear talking because it I would be too fearful to do what you're doing, so I'm going to put my fear on you instead of encourage you to go out and chase your dream. And so, and I thought that was really cool of her to just be like, yeah, I but she admitted it wasn't anything personal. It was just she was fearful of the unknown in her life, and so she put that on me. So it's
Yeah. I was going to say, I actually just had this conversation with a client this morning when you said that because I, I still like, cause I'm human, I have a human body, you know, I
fine.
still fear the unknown. It's very
Mm,
normal. Like, so, but I don't allow the fear to hold me back for what I know I need to be doing.
mhm,
But like just like fear, people always say like fear is bad. No, it's not. It's actually what keeps you safe to a certain point. Now, in
mhm.
entrepreneurship, to live in fear, no, it's
Yeah,
not going to keep you safe. No, you
yeah,
have to you have to be a very risky person to be an entrepreneur because there is times you're going to have to invest in something that you're like, this will eventually give me out. This will eventually get me here, but it's not going to be that you know, really fast, you know,
mhm,
transition
mhm,
or whatever. It's like investing into, like for you, it'd be like investing into a mentor or you know, something like that, that you got to put that money out first before you get
mhm,
to see the income, you know, or you see that growth at the end. And I think a lot
mhm.
of people, the way our mind is wired, it's that instant gratification that if I
Yeah,
do this, I better see it now. And it's like, you won't. It will literally be proven times and times again that you won't right away, but you will
Mm,
eventually. Like if you look at your life 6 months ago, did you see your life
mm,
to be like this now? Probably not. I know I didn't. Or, a year ago, did I see myself to be, here now? No, I didn't. Like, it's just,
mm,
I thought I would have this. I see a vision of this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it's going to be. That's why
mm,
it's like, that fear of unknown, it's everybody has it. It just, the
mm.
difference is it going to control you to do what you want? And
Right.
most of the time, people live their lives on autopilot because they don't know any different. So, of
Mm,
course, yeah, that's going to hold them back because
mhm,
that is that fear. And it's like sometimes you just have this burning desire, like for you, like, being a teacher and then completely traveling the world, being a professional singer. You don't see
mm.
people do that on a daily basis, like,
Yeah.
but it's like if they hear your story, maybe that will give them the push to do that, whatever it is for them,
Right.
you know, leave
Right.
that 9 to 5 job because they want to do something that, or stay at that 9 to 5 job to support whatever you want to do. I mean,
Mhm,
I don't encourage people to leave. Now, I left my 9 to 5 job and never went back. Don't do
mhm,
it. It's not, it's very uncomfortable. Figure out
mm,
a plan first. I'm never that person that has a plan. I just do it out of impulse.
mhm,
And I'm like, I'm just supposed to be doing this. And it's a little bit, it's painful. Don't
mm.
do it the
Yeah.
way I do it. I always tell people, have like a plan. Don't just up in, I feel like that was just probably a lesson in my life that I need to stop burning stuff down before I do
Mm,
something. But that's just how I navigate it. It's just that push that I'm like, well, I have nothing else. I need to do this, that type of thing. Because if not, I feel like my fear probably would hold me back instead of that
mhm,
making that
mhm.
like leap of faith, as they call it. Just do it. Like, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. I
Yeah.
I say I make calculated irrational decisions. I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it, but like before I do
Yeah.
something crazy, I pray a lot about it and then I just do it. You
Yeah.
know, and it's it's I
Yeah.
think about it, but then I just do it. Like everybody's like, "You moved to Wilmington, Delaware, and you had never been there a day in your life, and you just picked up all your stuff and moved to Wilmington, and you have no friends there, and you know not a person there." Ah, yes, I prayed about it, and then I just did it. You know, it's like a and then just jump.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I mean, then that's how the universe works because if it's not supposed to happen, it would never have happened.
Mm,
It like, there would be like something that happens in the way, or like something would be like, it wouldn't add up or anything like
mhm,
that. And it's like, I, the same way. It's like, I make a decision, and if that decision doesn't work out, I might be resistant. I might be a little bit resistant. I'm
mhm,
like, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to get. But then it like doesn't ever happen. So then there's a bigger opportunity, or there's like more, more that comes, or I think of this one thing I have to do, and then it turns into this big thing. So it's like always, I think that comes back to trusting yourself too, like being
ah,
able to trust.
yeah,
Yeah, trust that
yeah,
you know the best decision for yourself. Same
yeah,
thing I tell my boyfriend, same thing I tell my daughter, and she's only 4.5. I
uh-huh,
trust that you're going to make the best decision for yourself,
mhm.
because if not, who else is going to? I'm not making decisions for you. Don't put that on me. I don't want that responsibility, right? So it's like, you just have to. Um, I think it comes down to trust yourself that you're going to make the best decision because you trust yourself.
Mm.
And I love that you're in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm in Newark and in Delaware, and I haven't interviewed too many people on the podcast that are from Delaware. So we definitely will have to, we'll have
Yay!
to connect after this to maybe get
Mm,
together and meet in person. I don't get to meet many of
yay!
my podcast guests in person. Yeah.
Delaware, Delaware. I love it here. I absolutely love it. Everybody's like, "Where'd you move to?" I'm like, "Yes, Delaware."
Oh,
But
that's
it's
funny.
it's the best kept secret in the world. I'm not gonna even yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny. People that actually live there, I'm like, I probably could move somewhere else than Delaware, but I grew
Mm.
up here, so it's like,
Oh.
yeah. I was like, I could move any. Well, I mean, I like it here. I mean, I don't hate
Mhm,
it. It's just I grew up here, so it's like I could so
mhm.
live somewhere else though, and that'd be fine too. But I always feel like I could move wherever and be okay. I don't feel like I'm
Mm.
stuck anywhere. I'm
Right.
definitely a free floating soul for that purpose. Could
Mm,
go anywhere,
mm.
could move anywhere, could go anywhere.
Mm.
That's just totally my vibe.
No, that's good. It's good. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Live life.
So before we wrap up, is there any last minute thoughts that you wanted to say to listeners? Also, how can people get in contact with you if they want to connect more with you, follow your journey, get to know you better?
Oh, that's another good question. Yeah, just continue to enjoy life and love yourself and just realize that, you know, we have this life, enjoy it, you
I love
know.
that.
Um and so for me, I have all the things, the website, the social media. I'm trying to figure out the best one. Um
Maybe just your website, and then I'll put in the description box. I'll make sure on YouTube and
okay.
wherever they're listening to this that they can click in the description box and find how to follow you on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, my website is my last name, which is www.culceasure. That's my last name, and it rhymes with treasure because I am a treasure. Ow. So yeah, so www.culceasure.com, CulcleAsure.com, and you can find my music as well, with my name, Candace Culceasure, on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, wherever music is sold.
Yeah, I love that. I'm definitely gonna have to go listen to your song.
It's very inspirational music. So I love
Yeah, well, that's right up my alley. So
it.
perfect.
Mhm.
And I know everybody listening to this, that's too very inspired, like empowering, purposeful, whatever. That's
Mhm.
definitely that's definitely what we are here for.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and I'm so happy you have this space for that because I mean there aren't many spaces where people are encouraged to, especially females, are encouraged to go after their dreams. So thank you for providing this platform.
Course. I just listened to the calling and I was like, okay, so I'm supposed to do a podcast. And it's like, so what am I supposed to do on this podcast? And then it was like downloaded to me that I'm supposed to hold space. Like, I'm really good at holding space for people. I'm also, now that I had this podcast in almost a year, I realize I'm really good at asking questions to get people to talk about themselves because I feel like people's stories, they don't talk about their story or talk about themselves,
Mm-hmm.
just from like maybe trauma or whatever. They just don't, they're scared of being seen. And it's like, well, on my podcast, I'm going to ask the question, you have to talk about yourself. Because if not, we're not going to
Mm-hmm.
talk.
Right.
But most of
No.
the time, I create a very safe space. Like my intention before I get on any call, like, call with somebody or do a call with somebody, even if I'm doing a podcast or if it's just somebody that I'm talking to or if it's whatever, a client, I always create safe space because there isn't,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, there isn't a lot of safe spaces out there that people can feel very safe to talk. And I feel like, if I could be that space, and I feel like there's more and more, you know, podcasts and, places that people can feel safe, but there's not in the grand scheme of billions of people in the world, there's really not. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me
Mm-hmm.
feel
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. You should.
Well,
You should.
I was to say, thank you for joining us on today's episode on the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe. You can leave a review and share with somebody that you feel that will gain knowledge from listening. So stay tuned for more captivating conversations in the future. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time.